other industries to fill in the gaps. And one of those industries could be the drone industry, because we have all the elements necessary to set that up and make it work. All we need is a council that's willing to help and willing to, basically foster that interest. And really, you've got to roll out the welcome mat. It's all very well sitting there waiting for people to come and knock on your door, but this is a competitive, everything's competitive. We have to go and sell ourselves to the drone industry. And we have to be proactive, because there are plenty of other centres who will be pitching for that. But we have all the individual elements we need for success, and that's really important. So if we don't realise that potential, it's really kind of a bit of a disappointment. Again, because I've been here for 2 years, I've done 2 presentations, and everything I've said about decline has come to pass, and everything else seems to be following exactly the path I suggested it would. So we need to focus on that right now and get started straight away and do something about it. And that is probably going to do more than any of the other stuff. And I know the council is very interested in training. They do trade training for driving, welding. I think there was going to be building, but I think that fell through with the pensioner housing. So the council has already set a mark that says, yes, we will help with training. We're very keen on training our young people and training people and providing training services. So again, this perfectly matches the council's perspective on things. We're going to create jobs for our young people. We're going to give them an opportunity to train in an industry that is growing by 16,000% before the end of the decade. 1,600% before the end of the decade. So it's very hard not to accept that opportunity. Any questions? Yes.
Councillor Bell, Councillor Lee.
Well, Mr. Simpson, you've been talking for a while about, how the idea of a drone industry here would be a sure thing, how you're getting lots of money, you've got millions of followers and everything. It begs the question, with all this money you've got, why you don't buy a paddock somewhere and set up this drone industry if you think there's so much money to be made.
I don't have all this money. I have $40,000 a year from the people that we're going to set up a model park. But the thing is that the very thing that makes this viable is the fact that we have a full-size airfield.
Well, if you have a good business plan and it's so good, then surely you could get some money from a fund or something.
But there's no point in me doing. Why would you reinvent the wheel? We'd still have an airfield that's not being used. Why not leverage the assets we have? That makes more sense. The council has $1 million asset that is sitting there rotting away.
But that's not really your concern if you could...
It is as a ratepayer.
Just to clarify, the drone industry are saying we utilise the airfield as we have it. Why would they need an airfield for a drone?
Because part of the important part of drone training is teaching them to fly in an environment where there could be full-size aircraft. That's one of the key safety issues.
Okay. So that for the drone industry to take place, we'd still need the airfield.
The airfield would still be there. You're not going to roll it up and take it away.
Because you do suggest in there that we could sell it to Dairyland.
Well, that's one of the options, because at the moment it's $1 million asset and we're not even getting into it. It's costing...
So that's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. I need Councillor Lee.
Yeah, through you, hi, Bruce. The council actually has an economic development officer, and you were actually saying that people are coming to you. Why don't you send them to him with their ideas so then he can develop it, as opposed to going to you and then you hitting the block wall?
Well, they come to me because I am the face of the airfield, right? And they ask me questions, I give them answers, and the council has basically said that to this point they're not prepared to delist the airfield to facilitate this operation. And I know for a fact that some of the initiatives I've had have in the past been blocked. I've been told by the CEO I may not conduct my lawful business at the airfield on one occasion. There's a wall, a hostile wall between what could happen and the thing. And setting people off to council, it's not going. I can't see being any benefit because I've seen no positive response from council.
But we've actually made that position earlier this year. So his job is actually to find those people that you're talking about, to actually bring all that together. So when they come to you, you should be sending them to him so that then he can action those sorts of things, because he's the person in the council that you need to actually talk to get those businesses up and running. And that's what we need. There's no two ways about it.
Well, given it's the council's initiative or council's responsibility effectively to do that liaison, why hasn't this guy come to me and said, hey, I hear you've been getting approaches from people around the world, how can we help you? One of the problems I've found, I mean, as most people know around the table, because I can't seem to make any changes through the submission process and from the outside, I'm running for mayor, and since I've said that, so many people have come to me and have expressed the concerns that the council doesn't try and help so much as throw up roadblocks. So many business people have come to me and complained about the situation with council. Every time we want to do something, we can't. The council doesn't cooperate and obstructs. And I'm thinking, well, a lot of those are probably just sour grapes, but it seems my own experiences mirror that to quite a degree, and I'm concerned about that.
Mr. Take that. Perhaps again, and I'll accept that our communication is, we just recently, because of our business case manager, how many jobs did he say that in the last 2 years that he, you know,
I remember it was 733 jobs in the last...
these are jobs which actually have been created, certainly within our retail business as you know, has dropped. But by the time you add in, whether it be the Fonterra or the O'Reilly Hotel, or you add in Blue Pacific Minerals, or you start looking at farm conversions, in terms of that work and those numbers, you know, and our business case manager, the police there, said these are the jobs that have been created, and that didn't include, you know, even things like the 600 working at Fonterra. And so that, which will be more, so that in terms of that in our retail, you're certainly right, our retail, but sitting out in there, in terms of business growth, in fact, Infometrics actually put our GDP growth as one of the highest councils in the country. So we've actually had some of that growth. Councillor Shannock, we had your hand up.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Simpson. You're talking about us deferring the money that we have budgeted for a whole new airfield, and leaving it for 2 years, I think, and then doing investigations. You've talked in the past about decommissioning. What do you mean?
Not decommissioning.
No.
Yeah, it's a thing called delisting. What it basically is,
and what does that do? Yeah.
that simply means that the airfield has a different status from the perspective of what regulations and rules apply. And one of the problems is if you want to run the airfield as a drone school, it becomes very difficult if it is a listed airfield, because only you have to have certain qualifications and things to fly. There are a lot more restrictions on what you can do in respect to using unmanned aircraft at a listed airfield, which means it becomes less attractive to the industry. If you delist it, it can still be used. People can still come and go.
So it's okay.
It's just a different legal status, and that means that it opens it up to much more opportunity. And the reason I say a 2-year hiatus on that resealing is it would give us an opportunity to try and attract drone businesses for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, if none of them had come or it wasn't really working and general aviation had taken off again, then you've still got the option of relisting it and running it as a full-size airfield. But if things continue the way they are and there's no evidence whatsoever that the trend is going to change, in 2 years' time, I doubt there'll be virtually any aircraft at the airfield, and unmanned aviation will have grown by that huge amount and will have missed the train.
So that's, yeah,
Thank you.
and that's good reading in which, sitting in there, but if we went down the drone path, at some stage, because of the state of the airfield, we're going to have to reseal it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, do we have to? Because it's, if no one's using it, it's no
Now,
longer
if
an
the drone
asset.
industry came, we're going to have to do something to an airfield, to the strip at some stage.
We are or not, or not. But
Well, if the drone industry came,
Yeah.
in 2 years' time, and it was going well,
Yeah.
we would be looking at doing something on the runway.
Well, you wouldn't need to, because it wouldn't be used as a full-size runway in that respect. So it's no longer an expenditure that you need to make, because if it's not being used, it's not an asset. It's a liability.
Yeah, just you go for it. Because, and again, I accept the communication, that in terms of our ultra-fast broadband, in which we have been in discussion with the government, trying to get things here, we're actually, back in February, we were actually rated 20th out of 34 in New Zealand, and we actually had an uptake of over 15%, with the national average for uptake was actually 18%. So we're actually working on that ultra-fast broadband, and if we can bring off, as we work with the DHB, we will be one of the leaders. So work is taking place very hard within the ultra-fast. Now, we don't get that information out, and I think that is a fault of ours, but Whanganui is at 14.7 and we're 14.9, so that we haven't managed to sell that as well as we could. So
No, we missed the opportunity when we were one of only 2 towns in the entire country with ultra-fast, which would have brought in high-tech companies to come here, because
that we discussed that with the government in terms of that, in which, as a council, we made approaches to 2 core companies to come into Tokoroa, and unfortunately they both decided to, with government assistance, go to Wellington.
Yeah, there should have been a public announcement, a press release that carried in the media, leveraging our position so that every business read that, and the ones that wanted to come programming, whatever they might be, come. We don't do a very good job of selling ourselves. We don't market ourselves well.
Yeah.